Theistic arguments for the existence of God almost always come down into a few simple, broad categories of arguments that have basically all been answered at one time or another by atheists. The answers that atheists give tend to be not replied to. So, in this video, I am going to go over 3 of the most common arguments for the existence or the believing in of God, and pose 2 questions that exemplify the atheist response to these arguments. I would be very interested in hearing any theist actually come up with an argument or an answer or something for these questions that come out of their arguments. To start off with, there is the teleological argument, which is basically the argument from design, e.g., it looks designed, therefore there's a designer, the designer must be God, therefore God exists. That's the approximate, that's what teleological arguments are. Normally it's saying something to the effect of, human eyes are too complex to have come about by chance, even though no scientist says anything about the human eye coming about by chance per se. Yes, there were random factors in the process, but the process as a whole is not chance. The process as a whole is just not at all chance. Anyway, and then there's the cosmological argument, which I will treat as just another form of the same thing. The cosmological argument says that the universe is so fine-tuned that it could not possibly have just happened without a designer. Effectively, this is the same argument, but you're looking at different things. Instead of complexity, you're looking at fine-tuning of specific physical constants. And lastly, we have the anthropological arguments, which mostly are generally referred to as, where did morals come from if they didn't come from God? How can we possibly have morals if there's no absolute sort of outside force to bring them to us? And as an adjunct to that comes Pascal's wager, which basically says that you've got 2 choices. You can either believe in God or not believe in God. And if you believe in God and you're wrong, then you've lost nothing effectively. And if you don't believe in God and you're wrong, then you've lost everything. Therefore, in order to avoid the worst error of losing everything in favor of the possibility of the lesser error of losing nothing, you should believe in God. So those are the 3 basic arguments that are the most common, including 2 fairly distinctive forms of the anthropological argument, Pascal's wager and the rest of them, which have to do with where did morals come from. So, my questions. I have 2. I have 1 question for the teleological and cosmological arguments, and I have 1 question for the anthropological argument, specifically for Pascal's wager. So, first off, and I'm going to read my question because I actually wrote it out. If we accept a teleological and cosmological argument that the complexity of life and the fine-tuning of universal constants requires a designer to explain, why should this same argument not require an infinite regress of who designed the designer? In other words, where did God come from? If you must postulate God to explain the rest of it, how do you explain God? 2. This one deals with the Pascal's wager, more or less. If we accept an anthropological argument for believing in God, like Pascal's wager, how can we possibly be sure that we have picked the right deity to worship out of the thousands of choices available, from Allah to Zoroaster? Anyway, that's about the size of it for me for today. I would be very interested to hear a theist come up with an answer to those questions that is remotely logical, that has any evidence based in it, that is remotely convincing at all to an atheist. If you can answer those questions, you will have gone a long, long way in evangelizing atheists. So this is probably worth your time to think about. Because even if you don't care about the answers for yourself, knowing the answers to those questions would be of great use to you in converting atheists to your brand of religion. If you could actually answer those, many people who consider themselves atheists would listen to what you have to say. So how about it? How about you bring us an answer? Thank you.